Hi, Arsha. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. How are you?
All well. Okay, so we have folks trickling in. Hi, Sahana. Hi, Manala. Maybe give it another couple minutes and then we'll get started. All right. Good morning, everyone. Wish all of you a happy weekend and sorry to barge into your schedule on a Saturday morning. But this was the best time I thought, everyone was a bit relaxed and maybe, we can chat for a little bit. So I'm gonna stick to English because that's language most people would understand. But if you like local lingo, I could throw in Gujarati, Hindi, Kannada, but those are the only three languages that I can talk. So give me a sec. Let me share my screen. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, perfect. Thank you, everyone. All right, so. Well, and I think, I had this opportunity to talk to some of the folks in advanced structures teams of Collins Aerospace, and it was lovely speaking to everyone. Most of this would be re-telecast for a lot of you. But anyway, let me give it a shot. So, as you can see on the chart, I was born in Bhuj, Kutch. My grandparents came from Karachi. Both sides of the grandparents came from Karachi. They're palatial houses in Karachi, but you know, the partition happened. Nobody wanted it. Everyone had to run back and build things literally ground up. My father, as you see on the picture, and his family was in a small little village called Adesar, 5,000 people. And my mother was from a bigger town called Bhuj, so that's why I was born in the hospital in Bhuj. And since then, my life again, fast forward real quick, but I studied at about 10 in the small town called Adesar, which is 5,000 people. People did not speak any other languages other than Gujarati. A great teacher who taught me English. So thank him for all his efforts. Also taught me some initial storytelling skills. You go watch movies and tell stories about it. I finished and moved to a bigger city, Ahmedabad, which is one of the largest cities of Gujarat, which is right at my 11th, 12th. I stayed with an uncle who today is a president of Orthopedic Association of India. And I just caught up with him in Bangalore a few weeks ago. I'm very happy for him, but he's gotten to. Eventually, I went to a place called Vallabh Vidyanagar. It's like Pune, but a smaller town, nicer community, lots of colleges, lots of college kids, engineering colleges, architecture colleges, all types of colleges. And typically, people from Gujarat go to that place. At least in my days, that was a place where people went. And one of the, there's something called as Charotar Vidya Mandir, which is the university, and one of the oldest engineering colleges is based out of the L&T's chairman, previous chairman, Mr. Nayak, used to go to the college. I didn't go to that college, I went to another college called GSEC, GH Patel College of Engineering and Technology. And this was an interesting college, right? You're living in the small little town called Bakro, and everyone you met with went to US. Mostly they were in the New Jersey area. They started something on their own, ran the mom and pop shop, 7-Elevens and whatnot. And recently I was in New Jersey. I saw it firsthand. So that is where I did my mechanical engineering. In final year of engineering, another Patel friend of mine, Yogin Patel. Patel is a big community in Gujarat. We started working with a company called Zeus Numerics, which was an IIT Bombay aerospace department startup. It was developing a CFD code, and essentially two types of CFD codes. One was for training college students, the other was to solve complex problems. And they were helping Boeing, GM, who not. And we worked with the founders directly. We were told back in those days, man, you got to learn CFD. That's where the value is. We didn't get to learn CFD. We took a distributorship for selling, these licenses to all colleges in Gujarat. But then things happened. I got my first job at Satyam. Satyam back in those days used to be one of the premium, IT services company. I was trained for a few months, let's say 3 months for C Sharp, .NET. There were only three choices. We were about 8 or 10 kids who went to Satyam from college. Some of the guys' names I've mentioned on LinkedIn post before. They were my roomies. Great guys and girls. We went to a place and we knew that how the system was going to work. The one thing that they were going to call out. Plain, Java, or C Sharp. And we said we all want to be in one group, so we all stayed in one group, but number three, and it was C Sharp that we took. Well, I took a training of C Sharp for about 3 months,
Hello.
.NET, and came the timing of placement. And I didn't want to get placed. I didn't want to do C Sharp because I'd done my mechanical engineering, I'd done CAD, CAM, CFD, and I wanted to get to that direction, which is why I fought for the company and got placed in this unit called GEITC. And I worked with biggies of all the engineering services guys that we name. Kirti was one of the guys who was our PL. He went on to run Techline Bombardier. Karthik was another guy that I toured in his center with. He used to be a CEO of Cyient until recently. So that's where my time was. I was doing PCTO work. Sorry, apologies.
Yeah, your voice is not audible. Sometimes it's not coherent at all.
Let me. Is this any better?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. So great. My apologies. So yeah, that's what I did. I was in the GE's consumer business. I spent about a year and a half was getting bugged. They gave me title block days, as a young kid, and gave some LGQ analysis. In a PCTO team, and back in the days, GE one was NPI, the other was PCTO team. NPI is where you're designing new products. PCTO is where you're taking out cost every single year, $1 million, target of every engineer in that team. And that's the team that I was working for. TCTO CAD was the team that I was working for. Another great guy, Shiva Polemitla, who currently is NASCOM. My boss wasn't too happy. I decided to, and back in those days, there's a bond, right? So I signed this bond for 2 years. I broke that bond. This is not what is exciting. Let me go back to my hometown. I went back to my hometown, started the company called email. Okay. So you have new laptop and that's maybe causing a little bit of a trouble. Just in that case. Is this any better? Or still the same?
Sounds good.
But when you speak long sentences, it is getting break.
Okay, let's give it a shot. Maybe it's my internet connection at home. Whatever it is. I'll try and switch it to another device if this doesn't work out well. My first attempt at it. Okay, so I was saying, I went back to this company, to my hometown, Gandhi, where I started this company called EMSS Technologies. It's a startup. And I was a creamy kid. I thought, I will be able to build something on the same lines Satya was doing, go attract clients. And three friends, three musketeers, as I would say, two other friends quit their jobs, who were my batchmates in engineering. They were not happy with what they were doing. They came to join me. We tried doing whatever we could. We won a few contracts. Bosch Restaurant was one of our customers. We had a large PO from them. We had a PO from another company called C Doctor, and so on and so forth. Things did not work out. I shut down the business. We had significant amount of cash. It was all mom, dad's money. It took me a while to recover all that debt. Came back to Bangalore. And there's a chart that's just here. When I came back to Bangalore, I didn't have a job. I came back to Bangalore without a job. I worked with another company, which I don't know if that exists today. It was a call center, working for Apple, supporting their customer support for about 3 months. And that's where I learned a little bit of accent neutralization. Moved on, didn't enjoy the job anyway. Moved on to work with General Motors via a company called ACS. Several people know Srini, Dinesh, Bala, all of these guys are guys that I worked with, and spent about 2 years, 1 year, 8 months to be precise, to do supply quality work, PPAPs, and do SQIP and whatnot. Again, wasn't enjoying the job. It was the hard yards, doing the night shifts, and a bit of Americanism that I got. I got it from working in this job. I was working with people in the US, um, you know, uh, US, Mexico, Canada, most of the North Africa, 5-3-30. And then I was like, hey, it's time for me to pivot. I started applying for interviews, and several interviews were happening. I picked up the best job that were available at the time. Aerospace was still in my dreams. I thought, let's go join Goodrich. And Goodrich was just starting their engineering center. They actually started their engineering center in 2006. I joined in 2000. I still remember 22nd September of 2008 is when I joined Goodrich. And Goodrich was so tiny back then. Like everyone knew everyone by name. And it was like family. It was good and French days. Eventually, I spent about 4 years doing that job. I was getting a lot of breath, but wasn't getting depth. And I said, what do I do? That's when I'd done my PMP as well. And, my big boss back in those days helped me steer to a right role, which was to stand up an aerostructures project management office. Aerostructures business back in those days was like any other, small business. They didn't have, they had functional leaders who were doing engineering, technical manager job, people manager job, project manager job. And we had to stand up this team, which was quite a roller coaster ride. So some of you who may be on the call may have been through that journey. But we were very successful. It was about a decade-long journey. 2012 started. 2020 is when pandemic happened. And when the pandemic happened, we'd done lots of it. It was not just that doing program management. We were doing a lot of project things for the guy who was leading aerostructure in the engineering team. We're working with folks in Mexicali, we're working with folks in Singapore, we're working with folks in San Diego. A lot of my guys, and many of them have gone on to become very successful leaders all over the world. Went to various places. They went to Mexicali, they went to Singapore, they went to Nikiso, Vietnam, they went to CTRM, Malaysia, some of them went to China, some of them went to various parts of the world. And I think we grew this day by day, inch by inch, we made progress. And then pandemic happened. Pandemic was a time when, my wife was staying, she was back in a town which is in about 1,800 kilometers away. I wanted to go see her. I just couldn't see her because my flights were being rescheduled after rescheduled. And went on to speak to somebody in AI. This guy used to be a friend of an uncle, and he said the best route for you is to drive down. So this was an interesting journey. We drove down about what 1,800 kilometers, not a single shop open. My mom and dad both were worried about me, and they said we want to ride with you. We didn't. There were days when we didn't get bed, we didn't get food. We went there. Eventually, my son was born on 11th of May 2020. It was a big curfew. And since then, it's been fun ride. But the other fun ride on the business side was, business was coming on significantly. There was no air travel that was happening. And there were significant cuts that were happening. You never knew what was going to happen, where what's going to happen. And we said, okay, we need to let go some people. And good thing was, we had lots of contractors. So we let go a significant amount of contractors. And many of them personally hired, a lot of people in aerostructures team were involved in that. So it was a big moment of disaster and pain for many of us. Emotionally, it was not easy, but we had to do what we had to do to save the business. And eventually, I came back to Bangalore. We started driving back the business, and there are 4 or 5 things that we did. One of them was pushing back on that engineering may not happen, but what about manufacturing? That'll still have to happen. Are there things that we can pick up in manufacturing? And some of the guys on the call here have been part of the journey. We built quality engineering team. I was starting from making cold calls, right? And today I think it's growing really well. It's become a center of excellence within at least India. And I know there are center of excellence strategy that's been put together across other parts of the world. So we work with central quality. We work with, again, aerostructures business because that's the business we knew best. We treat to interiors. And I think there's a push in our take elsewhere. Second, the quality was one. I 4.0 was another thing that we started building. Again, I think some great work happening. AI tools have been implemented, the pilots have been done to drive down cost. The next one was doors. So back in those days, aerostructures business was going through a little bit of churn, and Airbus was going to come behind our sales business. So we said, hey, what could we potentially do? And our people, Mark Duvall was president of aerostructures business back in those days. Paul Cook was the global engineering director. We met in Singapore. He showed us all these fancy strategy slides. Said we could do something about. We went behind doors, and there's another guy in my team part of the journey. We started from scratch. We actually pulled off something from a scrapyard in our manufacturing site. We reverse engineered it. We gained confidence. We got quotes from all over the places as high as $1 million. A door would cost you a few $100,000, and $1 million was the quote for reverse engineering. Didn't believe in it. We worked with a very small supplier in Pini Industrial Estate. He did it 10 lakhs, right? And that's how we built confidence. And then it was a journey, and eventually we got a metallic door center of excellence status, which would have unlocked significant amount of revenue. Again, business went a little bit of pruning exercise in terms of core, non-core, so that was shut. But applied ops support is something that's continuing. Testing was another area that my colleague built, and I think that's continuing to go on. So we built various revenue streams, and we made sure this business continues to sustain. It's not that you're dependent on only one revenue stream. The other one, which another friend of mine actually led for a long time, was again ideated in one of these rooms, which is the aftermarket, right? So built a large aftermarket team. And again, I was peripherally involved, not directly involved, but I helped the gentleman build the team. So that's been the journey. And then, one of the other things that did was, what about our Indian market? Does that make sense? Is that something we want to go behind? And we started going behind something called as NAL, Saras Mark II program. I have a lot of slides, but I'm just talking story. That's okay. So we went behind NAL Saras Mark II program. We successfully submitted there. in a roller coaster ride. We worked tirelessly almost for about 6 weeks, 4 weeks, because this was new, never has had been done. And could have unlocked again significant opportunity. We perceived the significant risk given the past programs and said, okay, let's submit a joint development proposal. It makes sense again for the involvement, and we never want a tender. But since then, we took it up. We went back to very senior leaders within the company and we said, hey, this is the market that requires the attention and time. And since then, the background, I was working on this. I started in a formal role in January, which was called Strategy and Customer Management. Supporting a couple gentlemen, Malaysia and Singapore. Of course, they rolled up into the US folks. Yeah, it was an interesting journey. I just came out of Collins Aerospace on Thursday because I didn't think it made sense to continue here because of various reasons. And I had a personal challenge which I had tackled. It was a life versus the career call that I take. So I chose life and not career. You see all my hobbies here, all my role there. I'm now quickly going to flip slides. Okay. Yeah, so here are all my experiences. I think I talked through most of them. Also did quite a bit of work on MRO. These two programs, primarily AMCA and IMRH, and I will still want to be part of this journey. I will, for time being, I'm taking a break. Potentially, I'm sure, I'll help Collins Aerospace, and I will root for Collins Aerospace at any point in time. Okay, so here's another thing that I want to talk to you. These are the two slides that I think are most important. So there is something that I learned as part of between, Collins was gracious, they supported at least part of my fees, and I went to Wharton. I always wanted to go to the best P school and do best course, build a global network, which is what I did. I went to Wharton to do a global season program. It was an online program that I went there for graduation ceremony. A lot of pictures are out on my LinkedIn. You should take a look at them. But then that's something that I learned called Leaders Checklist. There's this great professor taught us executive presence and influence, and he helped us sharpen our Leaders Checklist. So there are about 15, 16 principles that he has, and just like a pilot needs to go through that, every leader needs to go through it, is what he was saying. You can read it for yourself, but personally for me, the first two are super duper important. That's how I've been brought up. Whatever you walk, you must talk. Whatever you talk, you must walk. And that's something I learned from my QS days. The second one is build mutual trust, respect. Nothing in this world comes without that. You may be the biggest guy, you may have a lot of wealth, but this goes a long, long way. A couple other ones that I would quickly walk through. Articulate a vision, always be a big picture guy. Make sure everyone comes behind you. The other one is embrace the front lines. You need to support your team. If you don't support your team, you won't be supported. Always think big, always act strategically. Take charge and lead change. Be the one who, if you want to see the change, I think Gandhi said that, right? If you want to see the change, you be the driver of the change. Identify personal implication because you are a human being. Manage your relation and manage your emotions. Sometimes you can manage it, sometimes you can't manage it. Take time off. Convey your character. Do not hide behind this fancy dress competition, right? Like some of my friends will say, always convey your character. Who you are, you must be your authentic self. Please strengthen leadership in yourself and others. That's why I'm doing this. As you can see, again, I developed leadership in others, another item, because that's something I think is most important as leaders in this world. We're not here to be best leader. We are here to make many more like us. We got to have successors all over the world and all generations. Come out of the room. That's very important. If you're seeing a guy, let him talk. Don't talk. Don't have guns. Dampen down over optimism and pessimism. This is again a very important one, which I am still personally working on. Because I'm a die-hard optimist. I just can't take no for an answer. So we'll see where I get to. Communicate persuasively. Always be persuasive. Things don't come to you easy. If you are a nice guy, things don't necessarily happen to you. You gotta be persuasive. You gotta build your case. You have to build a diverse team. Diversity brings different ideas, different thought processes, and you may have difference of opinion in the beginning, which is okay. But eventually you'll converge and you'll be happier. Always decide decisively. This is another one I'm working on. I flip being an Libra and ESTJ, ENTJ. That's how I, score my MBTI as. It's a challenge. I'm working that through as we speak. And here comes the last slide deck. This is something that I learned, and I wish everyone can learn. And I'm very happy to teach the world all this. And I want to take Mr. Usim's message literally to the world. All the world is a stage. Remember, wherever you are, whenever you are, whichever meeting you are, make sure your impact is felt. People look up to you. People say, oh, this guy's a thought leader. Second, always use leaders checklist to your advantage. Your leaders checklist can be tailored. It has to align with your personal value system. If it doesn't align, it just doesn't make sense. And the leading of skills. And this is something which is very important. It's not just about leading downward. It's always about leading sidewards, leading upward. Leading upward matters in the moment of change, moment courage. Network. Like this, networks and net worth. This is an area that I'm very proud of, but I think I'm getting better. We need to relentlessly follow up to get count. We tell someone that I'm gonna do this for you, gotta do it, and don't expect anything in return. Networking is a game; returns will come to you eventually. It's a long return on investment game. And this is another one that I'm working on, and as probably you heard my presentation, I've started to become a storyteller. You got to be a storyteller, you got to use humor so that people stay engaged. And that's been my time. Here are my coordinates, and I'm available on Talkmate. If any of you want to get in touch with me, I'm happy to connect with all of you. Thank you, everyone. I really appreciate your time. If there are any questions at this point in time, maybe I can spend another 10 minutes to take any questions. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. Okay, looks like there are no questions. Are there? Looks like none. Okay,
Not a
great.
question, Hardik, but thank you. Thanks for this session. I mean, we knew about you when we worked with you, but this is something that you have explained and like kind of presented since the beginning of your career and then your childhood and everything. So really nice to see that, and yeah, all the best.
Thank you so much, Anand. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. So can you just let us know like how we can get into the Wharton University?
Well, so it doesn't need to be Wharton. I would use something called as MOCC, massive online, and this is something that a friend of mine, a colleague of mine taught me. I would use Coursera EDX to register for a smaller course. And that's what I did. I did about 40,000 rupees course, Wharton online on an EDX. It was a strategy course because that is something that I was passionate about. And my boss was supportive, so I did that. Eventually, I built courage for spending big bucks, and that's when I did my Wharton Global C-suite. Now, see, the education has become global. You don't have to physically go to a university. Universities are coming to you. If I'm not mistaken, Wharton, Harvard, all of these universities are considering opening their campuses in India. It's just a matter of time. So you don't have to go to the water. Water will come to you. And now, the other thing is, work is becoming lot and lot remote. and it may not remain as a fixed work. It may be a gig work, right? Gig work is essentially you do a job here, do a job there. And that's what I think I would end up doing. It'll be a remote job. I'll go wherever I need to. But I'll do gigs after gigs for at least foreseeable future, unless I decide to go get back to corporate. So MOCC, edx.com, look it up. And if you have any specific question, ping me on TalkMate and we'll talk more.
So can I communicate with you on your personal contact for further discussions?
Yeah, so use TalkMate. I would appreciate that because that is, channelizes all my communication and keeps track of all our conversations. And you can get in touch with me on WhatsApp as well. Happy to do that. But I think TalkMate is one channel that I would like to use.
Okay. So you discussed about MOCC and what was another one?
edx.com. Let me type it here. Again, thanks to credit goes to a colleague of mine who's not here right now, but a great colleague of mine again.
So actually, like I'm also a design engineer and currently like into the leadership position. So I want to know how can I get into a good manager position with, so what will be the courses that will be helping me?
So you schedule a time with me on TalkMate and we can talk
Fine,
more.
fine, sir, fine, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Anything else? Sahana, I thought you wanted to post something on LinkedIn after the webinar. So you have some questions?
Yeah, yes. So hi Hardik, very nice session. And to be honest, I'm from sales, like altogether different. I would put up in a say vertical, not from the design or the technical team. But what I really liked about your presentation is that leadership slide, right? Because it is common, irrespective of whether we are in technical design, procurement, sales. The leadership skills, the DNA of leadership remains same, and that was really nice. And when you said that the stage is always ours, so yes, wherever we are, whether we are at an inside office or at customer place, we can make our impact felt. So that was really like that really caught my attention, and that's something really I want to imbibe and follow.
Perfect. And if there is more that you would want to learn, whatever
Yes.
I'm happy to share knowledge. That's what I am here for.
Definitely, definitely. Because I have been into the sales profile for almost 15 years now. So I think that your insights, your inputs will definitely help.
Just a disclaimer, I would have potentially got a sales role for India for all of Collins Aerospace.
Yes,
But I didn't
yes.
want to do sales, right?
Yes.
That's something that I was rooting for. People were rooting for me. I just didn't want to do it. I wanted to do something different, which is why I took a decision. Sales
Yes.
is great, but sales is sales. I wanted a P&L role, which is why I took a decision that I took.
Correct, correct. Yeah.
Yeah, but
So
I
your
think with
insights,
all of these
your
skills, specifically the executive presence and influence, I'll work with Wharton University and see if I can get some discounts. This is a course I strongly recommend for everyone. It's about $3,000, not too expensive, but I'll try and see if I can get potential discounts.
sure, great.
Okay. Hey, Ajish, thank you for your notes. I really appreciate it. Anyone else? Okay, great. Thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of the weekend, and I look forward to seeing you from time